Hi, I'm Nathaniel Brooks, and I'm running for Juneau Assembly. Today we're going to discuss the meeting that took place last night on July 31st. At 5:30 p.m., there was a meeting of the Human Resource Committee, and they were discussing appointees to the Systemic Racism Review Board. The video was not uploaded, but after executive session discussions, they came back and had three individuals that they chose to fill the vacancies, and those names are included in the next meeting's video. Then at 6:30, that's when the special assembly meeting began, and I urge you all to go and watch the entire video because there was a wonderful and emotional acknowledgement of Police Chief Ed Mercer's career and retirement. Ed Mercer was an amazing chief of police. He was an exceptional police officer, and he is an amazing human being. So go check that out. Then there was discussions about title land leases, staff reports, and finally a discussion on appointing a new city manager. So let's tune in.
And I think mostly for the assembly, because it has been a couple of years since we received this memo from you, but also for the public. A later assembly action will be the decision on whether to lease the tidelands. Is that correct?
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. That's correct. So the process laid out in the memo from 21 is about the lease process and that being the assembly process for deciding whether or not to lease land for the project, which would be a pivotal decision.
Thank you. Anything further? So just to be completely clear to the public, right now it is at the Planning Commission working on a conditional use permit process. And then it will eventually work its way to the assembly where we're looking at a tideland lease. So by no shape will the 8th of August be the last time we will be taking public comment or discussing this matter. All right, with that, if there's no further questions, we're going to go to committee liaison reports, and the only one we're going to talk to tonight is Mr. Smith. You have some appointments for us.
Yes, Madam Mayor. The Human Resources Committee met earlier tonight and discussed appointments to the Systemic Racism Review Committee, the SRRC. The Human Resources Committee unanimously recommended to the Assembly, and I move the appointments of Ivan Nance, Anna Vera Morado, and Jennifer Pemberton to the Systemic Racism Review Committee for terms beginning immediately and ending June 30th, 2026. And I ask for unanimous consent on that motion.
Any objection? Seeing none, they are appointed. So is there any pressing with any other of the committees that's going on? That sounds great. So before we go to executive session, I do see some members of the Boy Scouts. So hello to the Boy Scouts. Anyway, Ms. Wall, would you move us into executive session?
I move we recess into executive session to discuss matters that the immediate knowledge of which would defame or prejudice the character or reputation of any person, specifically those individuals invited to interview with the committee, and to discuss recruitment examination materials that are confidential. And I ask for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Ms. Wall. Is there any member of the public that objects to going into executive session? See none. Is there any member of the assembly that objects to going into executive session? See none. We'll be reconvene in 5 minutes. Is that enough time, clerks, or do you need a little more time?
Let's clear the room and probably 8 minutes. I think we can clear the room, and anyone who would like to stick around until after executive session, you can come upstairs to the clerk's area, and the assembly will be here in the chambers on their own.
We will come back at 7:10 on that clock in the back.
That was the end of the video. I'm not sure if they went back into regular session. From what the city clerk said, I was under the impression that the public would be let back in. But after waiting in the hallway for an hour, the assembly members came out for a break, and Miss Gladachowski came up and asked what we were waiting for, and I had told her that we were waiting for them to go back into regular session. She said that there was nothing more left for us tonight, and that they still had a lot of work to do. And I explained to her that the previous committee had gone into executive session and came out and had announced the names. And I had assumed that maybe the process would be the same. And she said it was different steps, different process. And I asked, I was like, would you know when you will be announcing the new city manager? And she said that they don't know and that we could go. Then tonight I got an email from the city clerk saying that the new manager will be announced tomorrow before the Assembly Finance Committee at 6 p.m. So it'll be exciting to see who they chose. The city manager position is crucial to a thriving city, community, and economy. Their job as a steward to the assembly is to listen to the voice of the assembly, the voice of which is a mouthpiece for the community, a community that needs and deserves support and an improved quality of living. The manager is to take all that in and formulate the best administrative strategy possible to properly address waste and redundancy, opportunity and improvement, and growth and sustainability, and do it in a way that is of equal benefit to the community as a whole. With a salary that can be over $170,000, that's taxpayer dollars that the community wants to see be put to good use. With the community having such a vested interest in the position, do you think that there should be public disclosure for the hiring process? It's an important question to ask. I recall earlier reports of well over 10 applicants in the pool, and unless you knew one of the individuals personally that had applied, then there was no real disclosure on who was on that list. And then the CBJ site said that the pool would be whittled down to 6 to 10 applicants, and those applicants would go into further review and interviewing. And I'm not suggesting that they disclose executive session discussions, but maybe that 6 to 10 individual name list, just to see who could potentially be the one making a lot of the administrative decisions for the community ahead of time, so the community can do their own research and give their own input. Let me know what you think in the comments. And remember, accountability breeds responsibility. The manager is accountable to the assembly. The assembly is accountable to the people of the community. And if we, the people, keep that accountability, then all future decisions become responsible decisions. Make sure you update your voter registration and vote for me if you want your voice heard, upheld, and represented. My service is to the community and the people that make it what it is. Mail-in voting starts middle of September and in person the first week of October. Till next time, have a good night.